At the beginning of his journey, Abraham arrived in the district of Haran, which is the mountain behind the Caucasus Mountains, and is also called the land of Canaan. It is important to note that Haran was the first land of Canaan. Yahuwah sent Abraham to civilize and clean up the leprous descendants of Canaan. Abraham remained there for several months and married Sarah. His father, Terah, Azar, Lot and Sarah, and others left Haran to go to the land of Palestine. Palestine was the second land of Canaan, refer to the Holy Tablets. Palestine, which was originally Philistine, was the land of the Philistines as well as the Phoenicians. The Phoenicians are Sidonites, who are the descendants of Canaan through his first son Sidon by his wife Hildar, the Horite, Genesis 10:15. The albino Phoenicians were of a mixture with the Canaanites tribes of Sidon who also mixed with the Assyrians. Reverend Walter Arthur McRae says that Sidon means fishery, when in actuality Sidon means fortified. The roots of Phoenicians are related to Egypt as well as Canaan. Abraham went into the caves to clean up the Amorites, which were soulless zombies. These cave dwellers would kill anything they saw. These people were so carnivorous that they would eat anything. There were many dead carcasses in the Caucasus Mountains. Diseases were also spreading which caused a mass famine. There were so many dead Caucasus that Abraham could not find a clear passage up to the Caucasus Mountains. If he was to come upon a pack of these Canaanites. Another name for them in the Bible is Behemoth, as found in the book of Jonah as beasts in sackcloth, Jonah 3:8, as well as many other places as beasts of the field, wild beasts, or non-speaking mammals, Genesis 2:19, Exodus 9:19, and Leviticus 27:28. Abraham would have surely been a main course meal. Being these Behemoth were also cannibals, which is a corrupted phonetic for Canis, and Baal, and Canis is another word for dog. And Baal is the name of their god. Because these cave dwellers would eat anything, even the pig animal, which in Ashuric Syriac of the Quran 2-173 is khinzir, which is the same word used for it in Leviticus 11:7, khazir meaning hog, swine, boar. Also take a look at this quote from Ezekiel 16:4, and I quote, "And as for your birth, in the day you were born your umbilical cord was not cut, neither were you washed in water to cleanse yourself, you were not washed in salt water at all, nor were you swaddled at all." Make note that this chapter, which is Ezekiel 16, is talking about the Amorite living in the land of Canaan. This can be found by reading Ezekiel 16:3. Only animals, in particular dogs, are born without needing the umbilical cord cut. Read any medical book. So what do you think is being said about the Canaanite here? You can also find the same word shore for navel used in these three other quotes, Job 40:16, Proverbs 3:8 and Songs of Solomon 7:2. The quote I am dealing with here is Ezekiel 16:4. It tells you that the Amorites were originally born with their navel pre-cut like dogs. That is without the need of a doctor to clip it. This quote uses the word navel, and when you look at the Aramaic, Hebrew, the word shore is used and it means umbilical cord, navel, navel string. The word for cut in Aramaic, Hebrew, is karath, meaning to cut off, cut out, eliminate, and if you go back to verse 3 of the same chapter you will see, like I said, that the Lord, Yahuwah, is talking to the land of Canaan, the Amorite and the Hittite. It is telling you this right in your Bible, Torah. The Amorite's navel was not cut, neither was he washed in water to supple, cleanse, he had no salt in his body, nor was he swaddled, wrapped up. All of these things are done to human infants when they are born. This is proof that the Amorite is not of pure seed, but part animal as a result of bestiality that occurred in the Caucasus Mountain. Also make note that your Bible make reference to the Amorites, cave dwellers, losing their souls right in Joshua 5:1. And it came to pass, when Au the rulers of the Amorites, which were on the region beyond of Jordan Sea, and all the rulers of the Canaanites lowlander, which were by the sea, heard that Yahuwah had dried up the waters of Jordan from in front of the children of Israel, Jacob's sons and daughters, until we were crossed over, that their heart dissolved, neither was there any more soul in them, in front of the children of Israel, Jacob's sons and daughters. Make note that the word being used in Aramaic, Hebrew, for spirit is ruach, which in actuality means soul, and the root word nefesh means spirit or self or person. Oftentimes people are confused with the word soul, just as in Ashuric Syriac, Arabic, the word soul ru is mistaken for naf, spirit. So according to Joshua 5:1, kings of the Amorite who are the sons of Canaan had their heart labov, meaning inner man, will, his soul, and heart, and I continue with the quote, melted and was not found in them any more. So this quote implies that the Amorite lost their souls, and remember Abraham in Genesis 12:5 refers to them as the souls that they had got in Haran, and in this quote the word being used for souls is nefesh and means soul, self, creature, person, living being, so it's being used interchangeable, but the facts remain the same. Amorites don't have a soul, they lost it. They had one but they lost it. This is why they refer to Nubians as soul people, and repeatedly say you guys really got soul, man. So Zoser, the great alchemist, had to come across something that was just as nasty as these creatures, so he created the pig, which is a crossbreed between the cat, the rat, and the dog. After Abraham had cleaned and civilized these lepers, they were called souls. Genesis 12:5 talks about the souls that he, Abraham, had gathered in Haran. The point is, the Edomites are not the Caucasus, and if they were, they wouldn't be called Edomite because Edomites mean red, they would be called Lamanites, which means white. The Israeli church are known for screaming at anyone who questions their doctrine and will probably try to scream their way out of it. So don't tell me that Esau was the original white, wicked man because Cain came from Adam and Eve, who were on the planet before Cain even came into the story. Now I will show you what I mean by this statement. First, starting with Mount Seir. First, let's see what the word Seir means. In Aramaic, Hebrew, Seir means hairy, shaggy. It is also the Aramaic, Hebrew, name for goat. Take a look at the Hebrew and English lexicon by Gesenius for the meaning of the word Seir. 1. Hairy, rough, Gen 27:11, 23. 2. A he-goat, hircus, which Latin word is the same as hirtus, hirsutus, Lev 4:24, 16-9. More fully, Siegenbad, Gen 37:31, Lev 4:24, 16-5, since the name of goat seems to have belonged, in a wider sense, to other animals also. 3. Wood demons, satyrs, resembling he-goats, inhabiting deserts, Isa 13:21, 34:14. Hairy, rough, Seir, of a leader of the Horites, Gen 36:20, 30, 2, of a mountainous region of the Edomites. As you can see, this word is also related to the satyr, which is the demon of music named Pan. The satyrs, along with the Pans and Faunas, are a group of demons ruled by Pan. Pan is the mythological deity of the words, fields and flocks. He's also known for playing the panpipe and lyre. Pan is depicted as half man, half goat, and is associated with wilderness regions where he lived in caves, on mountain slopes, and in other lonely places. The Seir mountain was in existence before Esau, where he first appeared in Genesis 25:25. It was named Seir because of the hairy goats that lived there. The people there were goat worshippers. It also received this name because of the hairy horites who inhabited that mountain back in Genesis 14:6. It was not named Seir because of Esau being hairy. Seir is the name given to the range of mountains that covers much of Edom. The name Seir applied specifically to the highest mountain peak of the Seir range, which is known as Mount Seir. An alternate name of Mount Seir is Mount Hor. The word Hor meaning mountain, and in Ashuric Syriac, Arabic, Hor, which means burning. And also Har, meaning mountain, and Hera is a stony area, volcanic country. Hera describes the land in which the Horites dwelled, Mount Seir. Then there is the word Hori, means cave dwellers, and in Ashuric Syriac, Arabic, the word Hori means noble freedom. Prior to occupation of the land Mount Hor by the Edomites, descendants of Esau, it was occupied by a group of people called Horites. The name Seir was adapted on account of the territory. The original inhabitants of the country were called Horites after Hori, the grandson of Seir, who was also a Horite, Genesis 36:20, because that name was descriptive of their habits as troglodytes or dwellers in caves. Also in Deuteronomy 2:12, you will see where Esau succeeded Mount Seir from the Horites cave dwellers, a Caucasus tribe. Deuteronomy 2:12, the Horites cave dwellers, also dwelt in Seir before time, but the children of Esau, Edomites, dispossessed them, and they destroyed them from in front of them, and dwelt in their place as Israel did to that part of the planet Earth of his possession, which Yahuwah gave to them. So how did Esau come to dwell in the land of the Horites? Because Esau and his brother Jacob had acquired an abundance of livestock and cattle, the land in which they dwelt became overcrowded, so Esau saw fit to leave the land of Canaan and migrated up into the mountains of Seir. Genesis 36:6, and Esau took his confidant mates and his children and his daughters and all of the spirits of his house and his cattle and all of his non-speaking mammals and all of his possessions which he had gotten in that part of the planet Earth from facing his brother Jacob. When Esau arrived at Mount Seir, he encountered the Horites, Hivites. These Horites, Hivites, were descendants of Canaan through his sixth son Kiwi by his wife Hatara, a Halabine Flugelrod, Genesis 10:17, Hivite meaning villagers. The Hivites are not to be confused with the Hittites. The Hittites are descendants of Canaan through his second son Heth meaning terrible, by his Sumerian wife Salah. Genesis 10:15. Esau intermarried with this tribe. The Hittites go back to the other side of the family. They have nothing to do with the Hivites. Esau, who was the son of Rebekah and Isaac and the twin brother of Jacob, received the name Edom, after he sold his birthright for a bowl of red pottage. The Bible refer to Esau as Edom in Genesis 25:30. It says, and I quote, Genesis 25:30, and Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I plead of you, from that same reddish brown stuff, reddish-brown stuff, for I am exhausted. Therefore was his name called Edom, from Adam meaning earthling from reddish-brown soil, because he repeated the red stuff twice. Note that if you read this quote in the Aramaic, Hebrew, it says Edom, Edom or red, red. When Esau asked for the stew he stuttered red or Edom, Edom, describing the color of the stew. So again, Esau was named Edom because he ate of the red pottage, not because his skin color was red. And if his skin color was red, that wouldn't make him a white man, that would make him a red man. The Edomites are Esau's descendants. Genesis 36:9. The Edomites are the red race which is referred to as the Orientals, such as Japanese, Koreans, Indonesians and Chinese. However, the Chinese are the white stock amongst the Orientals, and if you look closely at the eyes of most people with the disease hirsutism, people who grow excessive hair, they resemble the Orientals. However, I know it is the Chinese stock of the Orientals because they are the white breed of the Oriental race. There are white breeds in every race, such as the Africans in Africa. There are the original Nubian breed of Africans, and then there is the South Africans who are known as the white breed. They are called the Afrikaners. They are the original dark-skinned Moroccans. Then there is white Moroccans. There is the original dark-skinned Libyan. Then there is the white Libyan. There is the original dark-skinned Egyptian. Then there is the pale Egyptian. There is the original dark-skinned Algerian. Then there is the white Algerian. The same thing happens in the Orient. Ask anyone who has traveled to Japan. There are Nubian Japanese, and then there is pale Japanese. There are Nubian Koreans, then there is the pale Koreans. There are the Nubian Vietnamese, then there is the pale Vietnamese. By Nubian I mean Nubian. The Canaanites impregnates his seed everywhere he can. Hirsutism is defined in the American Heritage Dictionary as heavy growth of hair, often in abnormal distribution. People with this disease grow hair all over their body in patches. Prior to the birth of Isaac, was the birth of Ishmael, whose mother, Hagar, was of the tribe of Mizraim. When Ishmael was of the age of marriage, his mother chose a Nubian wife for him of her own tribe, Mizraim, Egypt. The tribe of Mizraimites were Nubians, Genesis 10:6. This is just to show you that Abraham did not mix his seed, nor did his son Ishmael. Because Noah, the father of Ham, Genesis 5:32, was perfect in his generations, Genesis 6:9. And Abraham and all of his descendants were warned to obey the law of not mixing with the families of the Canaanites. Genesis 24:3, also, Genesis 28:1, and Isaac called Jacob and blessed him and appointed him and said to him, "You will not take a confidant wife of the daughter of Canaan lowlanders." Here we see Isaac telling his son Jacob the same thing his father told him. "Thou shalt not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan." Genesis 28:1, this knowledge was being passed down through generations from father to son. And this was an important commandment given by God. Genealogy was extremely sacred, Genesis 2:4, it linked his seed in with heaven. The originated from a curse that was placed on Ham's fourth son Canaan, meaning lowlander, Genesis 9:18, the Aramaic, Hebrew, word used for curse in Genesis 9:25 is the root word ur, which means to curse, cursed be he. Canaan was cursed because his father Ham looked upon his father's Noah's nakedness. The story goes as follows. In Genesis 9:22, after the ark rested on Mount Ararat, the apostle Noah planted a vineyard, Genesis 9:25. The apostle Noah was one of the first farmers, and because the flood destroyed all life from the face of the earth, the condition of his family was very critical. They had consumed all of their food supply and were on the brink of starvation. So Noah began to plant seeds and harvest the land in hopes that it would provide food for them. Noah reaped the grapes he planted and made wine and drank it. In Genesis 9:21 it states, and I quote, "And he drunk of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent." Ham, after just having an argument with his wife Halima and was in a weak state, making it easy for the disagreeable Elohim Anak, the queen of Nod and the wife of Azazel, to possess him. While in his father's tent, Ham mocked his father nakedness, Genesis 9:22. Then he looked upon his father nakedness with the thought of sexuality and fornication, Leviticus 18:6-21. He did not have intercourse with his father. However, because of the unlawful act of looking upon your father, Leviticus 18:6, the Most High cursed Ham's fourth son Canaan. Ham's wife Halima, the daughter of Shukar, who is also known as Euban, an Enashite, and Unis, a Cuthite, was impregnated with a disagreeable seed when she entered the ark. So Canaan was born on the ark, which was really an aircraft that hovered above the water during the flood of Noah. When Canaan was cursed, he was to be a servant unto his brothers. Leprosy, a result of albinism, a degenerative disease which left the skin pale and scabby, manifested in his genes from his father, Ham, and his mother Halima. This curse was a physical curse. They call it Lana in Ashuric Syriac, Arabic. Canaan was bomb pale and an albino. Canaan's skin lacked pigmentation, that is why he was pale. The Torah gives various accounts of the signs, symptoms, and the way that leprosy actually looks. Leprosy affects the skin, the eyes and the mucous membranes of the nose and throat. In rare cases it affects the nerves. This disease is known to be communicable and is caused by an organism called Mycobacterium leprae, which produces granular lesions in the affected areas. The Torah describes what the traits of leprosy are: white skin, Leviticus 13:4, if the bright spot, b, white in the skin of his flesh, and in sight, b, not deeper than the skin, and the hair thereof be not turned white, then the priest shall shut up him that hath the plague 7 days. If we look at the Aramaic, Hebrew, word used in this quote for white, it is laban, meaning white. It also describes blonde hair, Leviticus 13:30, then Kahan the priest will look on the plague, and, behold, because it is seen deeper than the upper skin, and in it there is blonde, yellow, straight, thin, hair, then Kahan the priest will publicly pronounce him unclean. It is a dry and scaly form of infectious disease leprosy, that is seen on head and in his beard. In this quote the word used for yellow is sa'ob, meaning yellow, blonde hair, and how it was dak, meaning thin or fine. Neither one of these words describes Nubian with woolly hair. Albinism is a hereditary condition in which an organism cannot produce pigment, color. Only individuals with 2 albino genes have this disorder. Albinism, according to the American Heritage Dictionary, means 1. A person or an animal lacking normal pigmentation, with the result being that the skin and hair are abnormally white or milky and the eyes have a pink or blue iris and a deep red pupil. 2. A plant that lacks chlorophyll. Portuguese, from albo, white, from Latin albus, albinism is the result of the curse placed on Canaan. Again, Canaan was born an albino and gave birth to the pale race. Because of this he was shunned and persecuted. Therefore, he fled to the Caucasus Mountains and lived in the caves where the cold climate protected his skin from the hot sun, land the darkness was favorable to his eyes.